Hello, and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. I'm thrilled today. Our guest is Brandi Loebker. She is an incredible businesswoman, an owner principal of multiple very successful Keller Williams offices in Southwest Florida. She also runs an amazing real estate team serving all of Southwest Florida. Brandi, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Well, and it's going to get even more fun because our topic today is one that is so critical for so many. You are going to share insight and wisdom into truly building legacy level wealth and how that's an option for anyone who chooses to pursue it. Now, of course, I'm sure that's going to branch off into some other aspects of living a full life, but I would love for you to share with everyone what this means and how could becoming passionate and focused on building wealth could impact any of our listeners.
Yeah, I want everyone to stay tuned because it can be on any income level. And I think there's such a misconception that I'm on a fixed income or I'm a school teacher, right? And we all know they're not paid what they should be. And I
Right.
wish we could change that. But it's really what you do with the money. And so you do not have to have multiple businesses with all of this cash flow coming in to truly build your wealth. And there's just a small change that you can make today. And mainly your thinking and building a strategy around what you're going to do to help compound that money so that for future generations, not even just for you, but your family, how their future and their legacy is going to carry on what you've done with the tiniest little action step today. And it starts small. Success is sequential.
You said that one of the small changes was in your mindset. Before we get into the specifics of how to actually start that compounding effect and the financial changes to make, could you share a little bit more what you mean about changing your mindset and perspective?
I think it's just the concept and how people view the money. I think there's a lot of fear around it. There's a lot of things that, as a child, people might have said, like, money doesn't grow on trees, all these little sayings that we don't realize that have sat in the back of our mind and we didn't realize. And so we've always had a different viewpoint on how money works. No one teaches you this in school. There's actually a class that I love to teach. It's called The Path of Money, and the younger I can get to someone, whether it's high school, young adults, when they're in college, and really just helping them understand how it works and why it's so important and crucial to not only their financial future, but I truly believe their mental well being. Because when we
Right.
fear things like the lack of money or bills coming in and how we're going to survive, I mean, we're really ingrained to protect our family and provide for them. So if we're not sure how we're going to do that and there's uncertainty sitting in our mind, it really will affect almost everything we do on a daily basis.
And every aspect of your overall life. It will have impacts on health, mindset, mood, relationships. Yes, it can impact everything. It is critical that you do some self-reflection. Would you recommend self-reflection? And I like to say you need to shake things up in your subconscious and see what myths you may have around either wealthy people or having a high income. As you mentioned, do you have a fear of it running out or lack or being able to provide? And to address that, I think you can do it simultaneously as also starting to learn about how money actually works. But it is important to address that issue.
Yeah, I think for one, you have to be open-minded. I would say most people are open-minded. They just need some guidance, someone around them that's asking them great questions, consulting with them to find out what their true viewpoint is on that. And I know my view has changed on that over the years. And I'm so glad because I had someone ask me great questions. And now I just want to carry on even their legacy of helping the next generation or anyone. It could be an older generation, right?
Yes.
So I think being open-minded is part of it and saying to yourself, I am open-minded. I'm open-minded with other things. How can I become open-minded with this? And then I think step number two is being learning based. What can I
Yes.
do? What
What
resource?
can I learn?
Where do I go find education on this? And then
Right.
seeking that out and finding books, seminars, coaching? Is it within, your market center, your real estate brokerage? It's outside of your business that you
Right.
need to seek this. And where do you start?
Where do you start? Which, by the way, okay, anyone listening, they're just dying to hear some of those very first small steps that you would recommend. So could you share with us what would be the next step? So we talked about finding education and support, being open-minded and mindset. So what is that next actual step that involves dollars? What is a first action step someone could take that wants to have growth in this area?
Yeah, I think the first step is really just understanding how money can compound. Like, what does compounding mean? How do you get this exponential return from taking what the value of the money is now and turning it into something much larger later on? I think we are in this instant gratification society, so it's easy, right? The easy button is, oh, the money will always like it'll always come. We'll always figure out a way to make more money versus how
Right.
do I take what I have coming in and make more of it so that when I go to sleep at night, I'm still making that money. And that is such a foreign concept for people because no one again teaches you this in school.
Correct.
I wasn't taught it.
Yeah. No.
So I think just honestly understanding what that means. What does compounding mean? And then go, okay, now that I understand that concept, which strategy am I going to take based on my personal budget? And what is something that's discretionary that I can eliminate that I don't really need, right? There's all these things that are simple that if we apps on our phone that are probably on subscription, right? Looking at
Yes.
that. How do I get rid of those? So
Right.
just taking that first step.
So you're saying a good first step in terms of actual action involving dollars would be to assess exactly where all of your dollars are going and anything that is not necessary and is not contributing to significantly to your enjoyment of life. So there may
Mhm.
be an app that you subscribe to that significantly contributes to your daily joy. Okay, that's 99 cents a month. Keep that one. But the ones that you either don't use or used to use and you keep saying you're going to again, but you don't, get rid of them
Yeah. I think
and eliminate it.
looking at income, what's coming in, what's going out, and really getting real with it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't really wanna look at that. I don't wanna touch it," or "I'm not good with math," right? "I'm not good with numbers." And the reality is you're in complete control of it. And once you understand this is something I can control and it's something I really want to control and it's going to affect me in the future and it can be immediate or it can be, years from now. Either way, it's going to impact the quality of your life, which again is going to have a direct correlation to how you feel, your mental well-being. For me, my best friend committed suicide when I was 17. So I have looked at different ways people viewed money, their situation, what would cause people to be in such a mindset to take their own life and leave their family and their friends. And a lot of times it is money. A lot of times is fear of the unknown or people finding out about something that they might find is embarrassing or humiliation, all these feelings, and we're afraid to talk about it. We're afraid of money. We're afraid to talk about mental health sometimes. And for me, being aware of it is really important. And then understanding, okay, this is where I'm really at. It doesn't matter if it's a negative number, it could be hundreds of thousands or million, you're in debt. How do you figure out the plan of action? I'm very results oriented. So, what's the plan? What's the strategy? How are we going to get out of that debt if you are in that situation? Or are you starting from zero, right? You're kind of breaking
Right.
even, Steven. And now we have to figure out how we're going to have excess money coming in what regard are we and then how are we going to apply that to any investment? And people always ask me, what's the best investment? Well, I'm in real estate, so of course I'm biased, but it's whatever you're going to invest in that's going to compound your money and makes you feel good.
Yes.
It could be a very low return, and to me that wouldn't make sense for my specific knowledge in real estate, but if it's going to help you with your future and that works best for you, do it.
Yes. I agree with you. If it is something you're going to do and you have an interest in, you're more likely to be consistent, which is absolutely critical, right? So it doesn't make sense to force yourself to pretend to be interested in buying tax liens when you have and then you do it and you get interested for a few months and then you forget about it for 9. Don't do that. Find something where it's at least sparks curiosity and interest and, dare I say, even a smidge of passion, and then you're going to be likely to be consistent.
Yeah. I always say consistency eats motivation for lunch every day.
Every day of the week. You and I, in our chosen industry, we see that play out in real time every day. The consistent succeed and make it. The inconsistent, unfortunately, do not. And I think that plays across, especially other industries that are sales oriented. It's significant and
Yeah, because
really,
you can be
frankly,
motivated
even
one
in
day and the
corporate.
next day you're not, right? I mean,
Right, right.
we all feel that in real estate. There's a lot of days I wake up super motivated and the next day I'm like, "Why am I doing this again?" Right? That's
Yeah,
our
that's
real
right.
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 And people that are real estate are gonna go, "Yep, that's me," right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and now I have 900 agents, right? So
Yes.
I'm helping them ride that roller coaster, and it can be really rewarding. But there are
Yes.
times when it can also be stressful.
It's also
Moving is
hard. Yeah.
that's the hardest thing you're gonna do a lot of times is moving, and sometimes it's through death or divorce or these
Yes.
things for
Right.
sellers. So we have to be consistent with our habits. Otherwise, if we relied on our motivation, we would not stay in the business, which is why there can be a high dropout rate. And,
Yes, we do.
those habits
Do
are,
have a high churn rate in our industry. That is for sure. So you did mention the D word, debt, which I know, wow, we could have a day-long conversation with different people that would all have different perspectives on debt. I will say, just to frame this a little bit, I personally believe there's some, what I'll just call good debt, and there's some bad debt. So let's talk about if there's someone out there listening right now that finds themselves in a position of having a bad debt and or the debt itself, whether good or bad, is causing them anxiety, stress, misery, procrastination. It's having a very negative impact on them. Many people, in my experience, that are wanting and craving financial independence and security and to build generational wealth, if they currently have debt, they're paralyzed and they won't make that first move. I
hmm
believe with your experience, you may have a message that would resonate with them or allow them to see it differently. What
yeah,
would you say right now to someone who is sitting there with, I'm even going to use the word crippling
yeah.
debt at the moment? What would you say?
It's easy to get overwhelmed. I've been overwhelmed. I mean, I remember coming out of college, and even though my parents loved them, middle class, like paid for my school, did whatever it took to get me through my education. I still had like the books to pay for and food and living costs. And I think we all know that's gone up. So I can't even imagine, sitting in those shoes nowadays. But yeah, when I first started real estate, my first job, I mean, I think I was paid $10 an hour to answer a phone. It was a summer job. And luckily, a good friend of mine let me borrow a couple suits that I repurposed with accessories to make them look good. I mean, I was literally, Bridget, sharpening my shoe because I couldn't
Oh,
afford
nice.
shoes. So
I've
I'm
done
like,
it too. I have done that, especially in the 90s because we had so many like black patent leather. Give me the Sharpie,
where's
you
the
know.
sharpening? Yeah. So, and you never want someone looking down at your shoes and like, oh, shoot,
No. Yeah.
goodness.
Sharpie and Vaseline. Did you ever do Vaseline?
Yeah, you have to get those scuffs off, right? So, and someone's probably laughing right now, like, I'm doing that right now, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right. Yeah.
now things are different now for me, thank goodness, but it wasn't that long ago, and I know that feeling, it's tough, and you are, like, trying to make ends meet and figure out if you're gonna pay your rent, you don't own your own property yet, there's all these feelings that you have. I think having a mentor and someone in your life that's doing better than you, that is not only successful financially, but also in their marriage, if they're married, or whatever relationships they have, are they health conscious? Do you see that they're getting great sleep and they're exercising and eating healthy? There's so many ways you can learn from them. And honestly, be that squeaky wheel and be around them. Like raise your hand, ask to, take them for a cup of coffee if that's what you can afford. Do a ride along with them if they're in real estate. I mean, there's all these things that I learned from mentors. I remember somebody handing me a big Rubbermaid thing of books because he was super learning based and he was a commercial agent. And I learned so much from him. And I love to read. So he knew that. And actually, I was helping him sell his house. And so we had formed this relationship, referring back and forth after I finally took the step of going from receptionist to I'm going to sell real estate. I'm taking the deep dive. I have some reserves. I was working 2 or 3 jobs to get those reserves, but I did whatever it took to minimize my lifestyle. And everyone else was going out at my age and doing all these fun things. And it was like, I
Right.
did that for a little while, but that can only last so long. I really wanted to own real estate. Here I
Yes.
felt very hypocritical not owning my own home. Yet I'm consulting and guiding people on how to do this that were even younger than me. So I had to really get honest with myself. And having that mentor helped. And reading, I mean, very basic books that he handed me. And again, he's moving out of his house. He's like, I've read all these. Do you want them? And I was
Mm,
like,
yes.
this is a library on how to be like you. Yes.
Of course. Yeah. That's amazing. And it is funny how you and I now are at a stage in our careers where we can look back. In the moment, I know that you appreciated it and you thought, wow, this is really cool. And clearly you dove in. I'm sure there were some books you liked and some you didn't, right? But it's funny now with the ability we have to look back, look at how pivotal that was for you. Because I have a feeling that impacted a lot of the trajectories you've gone down as a professional businesswoman, now owning multiple businesses, having a role called owner principal with Keller Williams Market Centers, being a speaker. So it's funny when you think back, like, how much did that Rubbermaid full of books impact who you are today, right?
I think
Do you
some
still talk
speakers.
to
Oh,
that client?
oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
He owns he still does commercial real estate. He's a CCM, he's brilliant. His wife's in real estate, she's
Hmm.
brilliant. They still live in Florida, not here in Sarasota where I'm at, but yes, and he's still very learning based. I think he owns this very lucrative property management company, still sells commercial real estate, probably not because he has to, but he just
Hmm.
loves it.
Because he wants to.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, by choice, yeah.
What a blessing is that?
Mhm.
Creating that life by design and then
Yes.
building wealth and learning about money and then being able to work when you're older because you want to.
Having that
Chef's kiss.
choice. Well, not even when
Yes.
you're older. I set a goal that I would have the choice to work or not work by the age of
Yes.
40. So setting those goals and just writing things down. I mean, I have this whiteboard and it's in this storage part of my house on the second level, and it's this office, but it has like this not like attic space because we don't really have like attic or basements in Florida, but it's this
Right.
closet off of the office. And I happened to walk in there to go to mega camp the other day for Keller Williams, and I was grabbing my suitcases and I just giggled because it's stuffed in the corner. It's a little dusty, right? It's been in there. And it was like this Walt Disney map of a whiteboard, much like the one I have in my office now, which is now the future version of this old one. And it was, I'm going to have a property management company. I'm going to have brokerages, and my team's going to do this. And I'm going to have an investment division and a staging company and interior design, like marketing, repair and remodel, like all these. Now it's like, okay, I have a photography company, all these things that are real estate related to provide
Yes.
service for our agents. But the vision of that, I wrote it down and put on a whiteboard, and something about that. I know it sounds so silly and hokey and woo woo to some people, but it did something putting it like on paper or like in front of you to be able to see it. And now it's in my closet, and it's only a few years later. I thought this was like 10 years from now that I
Right.
would have all these things and be able to serve all these people. And now it's like I'm looking at the whiteboard talking to you of the next generation of that board. And that was only a few years ago I put this other one
Correct.
down on paper.
Well, it sounds like you said, it sounds woo woo. There's actually science to back it.
Okay.
And this is an older book, actually referred, Matthew Ferry was my coach a long time ago, and he recommended this book to me, and it is called Write It Down, Make It Happen. And I'm going to put that in the description. So if you're curious, look it up. Still very valid. It's unbelievable when you look, there's actually data that backs what you just said. When
Okay.
you write it down, things are much more likely to actually happen. So all you dreamers out there, grab a legal pad, write it down, okay? And when you write it down on something like that board, even if it's in your peripheral vision, your subconscious is absorbing it every day. Similar to a dream board, where people put visual representations. It's very similar to that and has an even more powerful impact. So Out of curiosity, I'm sure there's someone who's wondering, out of the potential affiliated businesses that you had on that board, which ones do you have now? You said photography
Actually, everything on that board, and then
plus.
plus it again, like, I'm looking at this going, "Oh, that wasn't on that board," and I never put 2 and 2 together until we're on this call, and I didn't even plan on being in this office today. So it's just kinda gives me chills to think about it, but let's take business out of the equation, and
Yes,
what I love about a lot of your masterminds and your coaching style is you're not all business. And, that's a piece of our life, right? And we do spend time away from our loved ones when we're doing our business, but you truly, truly believe in that life by design. And I
yes,
remember in bold learning that when you write things down, you're like, I think 77% more likely to reach those goals. But I think
right.
it can apply in your personal. I wrote a letter in bold, and now I do this all the time, even outside of bold,
Mhm.
which is a coaching program, and there's many coaching programs. So whatever you're doing for coaching, write yourself that future letter. And I did that. And I went through a divorce. I'm sure some people have gone through it, and it's not ideal. And I
I
never thought that
have.
would ever happen. Raise your hand if you
Right.
have. Unfortunately, it's not something to brag about. But you know what? I still care about that person as an individual, but
Yes.
we moved on, right? I wrote a letter to myself at Bold and said, if I ever were to get into another relationship, of course, you're never looking right after. You're just like, I need a break to be myself,
Right.
right? And a year after I wrote that letter, like describing what that relationship would look like, how this person would appear. I know that sounds shallow, but like how they looked and all that, like, and how they were going to treat me. A year
Yes.
later, I was sitting in my boyfriend's kitchen. We're now married and have been, but it described this person to a T. How they treated me, how they respected me, how they supported like my dreams and how we were going to treat each other, how he looked, like all these things. And he came home from work and I like kind of slid the letter across the kitchen island. I was like, it's going to freak you out a little bit, but look at the date. So I definitely think it's important to do it and going to the vision boards. I've always done those too. We're actually living in the house before I even knew this person, as a boyfriend. Like we're married, living in the house. It was a picture of a house that almost looks identical. I found on a vision board years later,
Wow.
and we're living in that house. Didn't even realize it.
It's remarkable. And if anyone listening is thinking, "Oh, that's airy-fairy Southern California stuff," it's not. It actually taps into how our subconscious mind interacts with our conscious mind, and you are denying yourself the power of your brain working on your behalf if you don't do them. And I have noticed in my experiences, oftentimes I know this sounds like a generalization, but a lot of times men tend to be more resistant to doing those activities. So, men, even if you do it in secret and you don't tell anyone, just go ahead and give yourself that gift because it's just allowing your like the compounding. Okay, so compounding of money. You
Hmm.
take $1, you treat that rate, and you put it in a vehicle that is going to allow it to compound and make money on its own. You're doing the same thing with your brain. You're allowing your brain and the way that it naturally works to compound your dreams and goals and make them reality. A quick side note on that, Brandy. Not only writing it down is I believe you're right. It's around 77% more likely that it is going to happen. When you share it with someone, it's even a higher percentage that it is going to happen. So even if you're very private, you probably have someone in your inner circle that you could share it with.
Hmm.
So just if you really want to welcome some significant growth and dream accomplishment in your life, lean in on both of those things.
Yeah, I think I've always had coaches, so that's always who I've shared
Me
mine
too.
with. I mean, I just believe like there's people that are way smarter than me and they're going to help me self-discover things that I never thought about with great questions. Having a coach has also helped me coach others better. I've a lot
Yes.
of self-awareness in that process. So not only is it benefiting you, it's like this impact you can have on so many other people. And when you are in leadership, like you need so much self-awareness you don't even know. And it's not an
Yes.
easy thing. It's a very uncomfortable thing to discover, your strengths and weaknesses and how to, live in those areas of strengths and also be very aware of your weaknesses and align with people that are going to help with that. But I also think like couples goal planning and we do that, and I like doing it with my agents in my office, and even if they don't have
Yes,
a relationship with someone at that time, that's okay, show up and, like, what does that look like if you were to have a partner in life and who however that plays out, everyone's invited. We always look at that around November, and I think, like you said, a coach, your spouse, your best friend, your parent, you might be living in a multi-generational home with a grandparent, a parent, whoever that is that you're seeking guidance from and getting like their buy-in on what does it look like for our future as a family, I think is so important.
I agree. I agree. And you're going back to that, the future of your own self and your family. And however that is, whatever that configuration is today, focusing on building wealth, learning how there are ways that you can structure yourself regardless of income
Mhm.
in terms of tax benefits and owning businesses, even if you work full time in another job, like really committing and saying, okay, there's a million ways to do it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
pick one. To paraphrase Jay-Z, you can do that now. This is an overused cliche, but this is, that overused meme of do something today your future self will thank you for. Okay, well, that's overused because it's valid. You you can make a choice, you can make that small step, you can start to learn 20 years from now. Your entire world could be different 3 years from now. You said you're bored, you thought that was a 10-year plan, and it came to fruition in 3 years, or around. It was faster than you expected.
Much faster. I thought that was like a 10-year plan, Bridget. Like I
Mhm.
really and again, this is all funny. I didn't even think we'd be talking about this in so much depth, but I mean, these are real situations where I'm walking in there just to grab my suitcase and I'm like, "Oh, I haven't looked at that in a while," and it just caught my eye. I go in that I travel a lot with Keller
Right.
Williams and I love learning and I love going and building relationships. I don't think I would be anywhere near where I'm at if I didn't have those relationships. So connections with people are important. You never know when they're going to want to sell their business, right? And you're not in that relationship because you're like trying to buy their business or looking for an opportunity. It's just these things all happen naturally when you're adding value to people's lives. And then if there is a situation that comes up, like the office I'm sitting in now, I was in a relationship with the owner and it just so happened that, and I never thought they were going to sell this. I already had my own KWI, that was keeping me busy enough, building
Right.
that up. And then it was like, I wanna carry on my legacy, but I don't wanna be the operator anymore, And I'm already looking at, like, when I don't wanna be the operator, like, my brother is gonna take that on with his talent, and I never thought that would happen. So who are your wealth determiners, and who are you determining wealth for? And who are you in relationship that at some point, maybe you're going to carry on their legacy with their business, which is, it's an honor and a privilege. And then who's going to do that for you? Are you looking for that talent? Are you in relationship with people that are aligned with your core values and your mission and vision and all your belief system, all those things to where, when it comes down to when you're not wanting to do that day to day anymore, who's the best person to not just shut down your business and say goodbye, and even just
Right.
sell to, but who can you align with that's going to help you carry it on? And maybe you stay on for a little while or not, but we have a huge transfer of wealth, over 100 trillion, and it's not just real estate.
It is not.
50% of, I believe, in this market, according to NAR, were above the age of, excuse me, 70% were above 50. And so a lot of them also own businesses. We talk about the baby boomers that built all this wealth. Who are they going to transfer it to? And it's businesses, it's assets in their portfolio. And I
Correct.
always get this question, well, I don't have the money, right, to buy these businesses. I promise you the money will come if the deal's there. If it's a worthwhile business or worthwhile real estate investment, you can easily put the money together and have no money out of pocket. I know that sounds crazy, but
It is true.
Cody Sanchez talks about it all the time. Love her book.
That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in the description. I believe
Okay.
it's a Main Street Millionaire. Yes,
Yes.
we'll get that in there. And you are right. If the opportunity is viable and attractive, money will I don't want to say appear. It will be available.
Yeah. Or you can
So
structure the deal,
that's
seller
right. Yeah, you
financing.
can structure it right into, yes, structure it right into the deal. And, it makes me curious, out of the affiliated businesses that you own, how many of those, and I don't mean an exact number, give us an idea. How many of those did you start from the ground up, and how many did you buy an existing company?
So originally, again, I started as a receptionist, right? Answering a phone as a summer job. Did not think I was going to be a real estate agent or real estate professional. And so I quickly got my broker's license within a few years. You need 2 years experience in Florida. And then I was just kind of recruited, tapped on the shoulder to go work for a couple of other companies. I was actually offered ownership in my very first brokerage, but
Wow.
I was kinda doing the bookkeeping, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's not really a lot of ownership, but it's okay," so I learned how to do the books very quickly and money coming in and money coming out. Like, we're writing out a lot of checks, but we need also to cut back on expenses, right? There was a
Right.
lot of it was a big boom going on in that time. I then, was attracted eventually to Keller Williams after I did work for a couple brokerages, and I had my own brokerage for in 2008. I started my own brokerage, and everyone's like, "Wow, that's an interesting time in Florida, especially to start a business," right? And everyone thought I
I
was
think I
crazy.
just had a heart palpitation. Yeah.
I was told a lot of things. "You're gonna fail. You're stupid. You're crazy." I mean, you name it. I mean, I don't think they really meant it, but they were probably trying to protect
They were
me and
concerned, yes.
very concerned as they should be. But I did run. That was a start from scratch for 2 years. And then I was attracted to Keller Williams and helped them launch and build in Sarasota. And then I launched my own brokerage in Venice Island, South County, bought my first commercial building on a lease option. So, I had no money down to do it at that time, where I had some money, but it was a big, big thing to buy. So you can do it. And then the other ones were all, seller finance deals, no money out of pocket, or in some cases there was money out of pocket. And I like leveraging other people's money. I know that,
Yes, I do
like
too.
you said,
Yeah.
some debt
There's
can be,
good debt.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. It's so funny when you actually learn in depth about that, which we
Hmm.
don't have time to get all into that.
Right.
I remember, and at that point, I had already been heavily involved in real estate for 16, 17 years. And in that class, learning truly the detailed level about leverage and other people's money and good debt versus bad. Man, it's like fireworks going off in your brain when you have the
Yeah.
realizations around it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend learning about that, whether you even do anything with it or not. It changes how you view every dollar that crosses into your possession. It
Hmm.
just changes your thoughts around all of it
Yeah.
and
I think you
leverage.
can do more. When you're leveraging, you can always do more. It's kind of the definition of the words. I think being open-minded to learning about it would be the first step. Obviously don't dive in and just, not know anything about it, but having those
That's right.
great guiders.
Learn and get the education.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is clearly, I think, not that I have a time machine to know, but you must have exhibited signs of leadership from an early age to have been offered ownership in, that first brokerage that you joined. And even today, we're going to talk about you for a minute, developed into a public speaker. You're John Maxwell trained. You are the luxury ambassador for Keller Williams Luxury for Northwest Florida. You're shifting even in that role where you're going to be part of a very elite group of designated speakers speaking across the country on behalf of Keller Williams Luxury.
Hmm.
And so I feel as if you must have had some innate skill in that area, but you've also enhanced it and developed it. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you're excited about with that future, or some of the things that might be on that whiteboard that's in front of you? Where is Brandy going next?
Sure. Well, I never thought like, oh, I want to be a speaker or, write a book or all the things that I think are really popular in today's society. There's so many great, speakers and trainers and coaches and all in that regard. But I never really like thought that. I know I've always been a leader according to my mom. She tells me sometimes not very nice stories about how stubborn I was, and I didn't really like listening to others. I questioned everything, very curious by nature, and I'm sure I was a difficult child. Even she told me, I would pick out an outfit for us to go because she owned a preschool at the time to get dressed, and she's the owner of the preschool, so it's like we got to be there before everyone else. And it was like just because she was telling me to put something on, it was like, well, I want it to be my decision and my choice. So
Right.
I think I was always born to wanna, lead and do things differently and not just follow, which is interesting. But as far as the speaker part, I never really thought about the impact you can have on others. I just thought speakers did it because they like to be on stage and be noticed and
Right.
have accolades. And the more I learned about it and the more I really got to know my friends that speak at a high level and didn't realize how lucrative it was either, they
Right.
really helped me understand that it's about how you can change people's lives. And I just
Yes.
thought, you do that one-on-one, you coach people one-on-one only. And that's what I was doing. And I thought I am making an impact. And then they really helped me open up to realize that there's always, when you're speaking to hundreds or thousands of people, that one person could go then change hundreds or thousands. And I thought,
Of
I
lives.
get it. I get the math on that.
Right.
That's an exponential growth rate.
Right, right. And so that just gives you so much satisfaction while you're doing it. It is funny when I think about what you were just describing, and I had similar thoughts, you think, "Oh, the people on stage, they wanna be on stage and they wanna be a star, and this is the avenue where they have found the ability to be a star." But I feel like the most impactful speakers from the stage, they want each person in each individual seat to feel important. They want each individual that may hear it on a recording to see themselves in a different manner and feel important. They're not as concerned about themselves feeling important.
And I think the best speakers and authors and anyone I've ever met from that level, I mean, even you look at John Maxwell, who I love, of course, and think of,
Mhm.
and Phil Jones, there's so many.
Yes, yeah.
They're usually the most genuine, the best speakers, and the ones that influence you the most when you're in the audience, which I've had the honor and privilege of being there, taking notes as fast as I can, or meeting,
Yes.
at different real estate conferences or business conferences. Usually they are never concerned about the accolades and being the star. They really are the most genuine and authentic, the best one.
Yes, I agree, and so many pop to mind when you say that. So it's a calling that you have followed that, as you said, you didn't even really have on your radar screen until it started to happen and occur, and I believe you were probably, approached and people could see that in you. One of the things that I think about is as an owner in 7 Keller Williams offices in Southwest Florida, in my mind, and I haven't asked you this, but in my mind, you are developing and encouraging and supporting at least 7 more, probably more, at least 7 additional leaders that
Mhm.
are understanding their value and seeing the power within themselves because they're working with you. Because I'm sure you have key designated people at each location. So even within this empire, I believe that qualifies to be an empire. Not a lot of people own 7, offices. So what kind of satisfaction does that bring you when you find somebody with that raw leadership talent, or maybe they're even experienced, and then you put them in that role and they're impacting everyone in their world? Is that also satisfying for you?
It really is. I mean, that's been the most rewarding thing. A lot of people go, "How do you do it?" And there's between all of our business, we have 13 locations, right? And then 7 of them.
13. Wow, it's
Yeah.
even more than I knew. That's
So that's
amazing.
a lot, right? People are going, "How
Mhm.
are you in each location? Where are you?" Like, it's like, "Where's Waldo? Where's Brady today?" Right? And so you do have to be intentional, you do have to be strategic, and you have to be in alignment with such great talent in order to have an impact and to have a strong culture, which we want to protect, especially at Keller Williams with Mo Anderson. We want to keep
Right.
that and protect it and guard it as we all know she would love for us to do to carry on her legacy forever. And
Yes.
it is so important. And so the talent that I get to surround myself with and empower to lead when I'm not there, I find so much joy in pouring into them
Mhm.
and watching them grow. I've been very fortunate to have my brother who's also, of course, my sibling in my world, and I never thought that would happen. He was in hospitality, he owned a restaurant, working 7 days a week, very young, had the energy to do it, but I could just see the stress, right? That's a stressful. I
Yes.
hospitality, I know. And I did that for over 10 years before I got into real estate, even in school. So got him into real estate. I have watched him grow tremendously over the last decade or so, and now I'm watching him take on roles I've had and lead other people, and I'm, like, in the back seat just like mama bear, like, just so proud, and our father unfortunately passed away this year, so it's been a tough year,
Mhm.
doing all the things we do and having such great lots and having our, guider, our mentor and our,
Right.
heart. And so I literally, within weeks of my father passing, my brother not only stepped up personally in our family, but also through our businesses and
Mhm.
just take on like this major role of like dad. And not only has he always walked like him and talked like him, now it's like this leadership aspect, even in his
Wow.
personal life and our family. I mean, I'm blown away. Even his wife, we're texting each other going, I've never seen him take ownership, bring me and my sister together more because we fight a little bit more, So it's like
Mhm.
he's like, we're together, we're a unit. Like it's really been amazing.
That's awesome. And I'm sorry that you suffered that as a family, and to see him embody that spirit and sort of, it sounds like he, like, took on the mantle of from your father, and to show up in that way,
Yeah.
that's what a blessing. That's really, really incredible.
Sorry. God,
That's okay. You're making me tear up too. Um, yeah, so I I think that, what you have built, because we just talked about leadership in the 13, market centers and business centers, and then you also have your affiliated businesses. So I would just
Mm.
say that if someone said to me, "Hey, do you know Brandy Loebker?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they said, "What does she do?" I would say, "She finds talent and empowers leaders that impact people's lives, not just in Florida, but all across the country." And I believe that. And it is, so this has been such an honor having you as a guest, and I would truly love it if you would come again and be a repeat guest on the Interstate. The messaging that you're sharing is so critical, and as you said, it's open to everyone. You and I, our chosen primary industry is real estate. However, both of us have interests in other
Yeah.
companies because part of our wealth building.
Yeah.
Anyone that's in, I'm just going to say Florida, okay, but predominantly Southwest Florida,
Yeah.
if they want to reach out to you and they want to, whether they're a leader or a speaker or an agent, or they're interested about your pathway class. Say that one again. It's called
Yeah. It's through Next
the
Gen.
Path of
And we'll tell
Money.
her what
Okay. What's the best platform for them to reach out? Do you have a website you could shout out, or Instagram? Like, what's the best way?
best way to do, we have a sales team as well within the brokerage and have for a while,
Excellent.
and it's the coffee group, just like coffee, but with a Y, the coffee group. That's
Yes.
the best way to reach out. And
Perfect.
most of our, businesses are on there. So you can kind of see what we do and if there's
That's
anything we can
awesome.
do to help. And, even if you're not in real estate or you don't own a business right now or you haven't launched a business or wherever you're at, I think that you're a leader in your family, you're a leader with your partner, however you have your personal life structured. My husband, guides me and leads me every single day. He's such an old soul, I say, because he's actually younger than me, but he's so wise and he gets me to my calm, serene place that I need to be because I'm here all day, right? Let's go.
Mhm.
And so I think finding someone, whether it's a spouse, a partner, um, a family member, a friend that's going to really be your calm and help you kind of keep that balance, I think is so important no matter where you're at in life.
I agree. So they can reach out to you. What, I have a quick clarifying question. With the Path of Money, is that available for people that are outside of real estate? So if
Yeah.
someone is a school teacher, or,
Yeah.
a common situation is someone that has a high income earning job and yet they're not getting ahead. So if they wanted to, even if they're not in real estate, they could also participate in your Path of Money
Yes, this
class.
is not a real
Excellent.
estate class for everyone out there. This is for
Excellent.
any age, no matter what income. I've helped school teachers, build huge
Excellent.
real estate portfolios by buying land, right? And now that land's worth
Yep.
so much money. I've had physicians that are really wealthy, but weren't taught, right, money. They were taught all these other math and science, great things to save lives, but
Hmm.
weren't really taught wealth building, and like they're smart, right? Help them do that. And teachers are
Right.
smart teaching other people. Like it's just something that wasn't really talked about in their education. And so it's for anyone, any income bracket, any age, and it's not specific to real estate.
Right. Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today, Brandy. This was so insightful and so meaningful. Your passion shines through with everything that you're talking about. And I hope that you will be our guest again. If you're listening to this, I hope you'll tune into the next episode of The Inner Estate. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much.